Hello and good evening. I'm Martin Short.
And I'm, well...
Tina, we are so thrilled that you are receiving this recognition tonight.
We are.
And trust me when I say...
What? Why would you say trust me? Well, of course we trust. Should we not trust you?
Okay, you're right. Well, you go.
All right. Tina, truthfully, when we think of you...
Wait. Steve, why would you say truthfully? Of course, truthfully.
Absolutely correct, right. Tina, honestly...
Oh, jeez.
What?
Honestly?
Well...
So mostly you're not honest?
I just Anyway, you go.
Tina, a famous man once said...
Who?
A famous man.
Oh, so some generic famous man said something once? And why is it always a man with you?
It was Mark Twain.
Oh, well, now you're just dropping names.
Okay, you know what? Let's start over, shall we?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Tina, we're so honored to know you, to work with you.
And to have witnessed your incredible career. And we mean that.
Well, of course we mean that.
Not me. Bravo! You're a genius.
Thank you.
Hello, Tina. I'm so sorry I can't be there tonight. I don't really know how to make these videos. I want it to be perfect for you. So I turned to this group of female friends that I have. People think that women in the business are competitive. They are not, by the way. I got some wonderful advice from Tova Feldshuh. She and I are up for the same parts a lot, but she wanted to just get right in there and help me any way she could. She insisted that the camera be below. She said that's more attractive for an older woman. So I'm just gonna try. And here we go. So Tina, congratulations on this wonderful award to add to the many that you have. You are a beautiful woman, inside and out, and even in a pleated skirt. And I wish I could be there to give you a big hug, but I'm not. So thank you.
Please welcome Tony Award-nominated stage and screen comedian and writer from Saturday Night Live on her own memoir, Girl Walks Into a Bar. Please welcome Rachel Dratch.
Hello, and welcome, friends, loved ones, literary types, and pretentious assholes. PEN America, along with Saturday Night Live creator and producer Lorne Michaels, are thrilled to present the PEN Mike Nichols Writing for Performance Award. With this award, we recognize every year the unparalleled legacy of playwright, screenwriter, and director Mike Nichols. This award celebrates transformative work that enlightens, inspires, and breaks new thematic and artistic ground. And this year's recipient is Tina Fey. Yes. It is my high honor to speak about my friend Tina, a great voice in the American comedy milieu. Her oeuvres are known far and wide, and I know I didn't use oeuvre quite right there, but I need to throw in some French like milieu and oeuvre because this is a literary award. To the matter at hand, honoring Miss Elizabeth Stomatina Fey. Yes, Stomatina really is Tina's middle name, and fun fact, it autocorrects to stamina. And Tina, you've had the stamina to make it in this business for over 25 years. Now, Tina and I started out together at the Second City Theater in Chicago. The year was 1996. We were probably both wearing a floral print dress with one of those little clippy things in the back, if any of you remember that. I was on the main stage, and the cast had always been the same as far as men and women. A cast of 6 with 4 men and 2 women. And that's just how it was. Now today, Second City doesn't cast by gender at all, which is a great thing. But that year, but that's how it was since the beginning of Second City. But the year, I think it was, 1996, and that year the progressive decision was made to make it even 3 and 3. So here was Tina coming in as the new cast member to even out the numbers. Tina Fey, who was this young lady? All I had heard about Tina was that she was a really good improviser, but she also wanted to be a writer. And she had written a play about Catherine the Great, who was a queen who supposedly had sex with a horse. Now, it occurs to me, Tina, I've heard a lot about this play over the years. I've heard about it, I've never read it, I've never seen it, and I feel like you might actually have the clout now to get it produced. Perhaps on Broadway. Who knows? It is only fitting that Tina was the one to break the gender barrier at Second City, as she has broken barriers ever since, most notably as the first female head writer at SNL. And since then, as we all know, she has gone on to create, write, and produce such shows as 30 Rock and The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and produce Great News, Girls 5 Eva, write her best-selling book, Bossy Pants, and of course, write Mean Girls. Now, Tina, I have so many memories of you, and as I started to think, I was like, well, that's not really about writing. Well, wait, that's about a diner. And that's about the time I split my pants on stage and you saved me. And that's about a bathroom at the Indiana Dunes. And that's about something Jeff cooked. And that's about how good you are at dialects, which not a lot of people know, but that's not really relevant to writing. And that's something else Jeff cooked, and a lot of these experiences are about food. And so, Tina, I will just say this. If I had one wish for you tonight, it would be that you had written this speech I'm giving in your honor. It would be far wittier, and let's face it, your speech would probably be turned into a Broadway play that could then become a movie, that could then be turned into a musical, and then a movie musical, and then back into a Broadway play, and then an avant-garde performance piece downtown. If Tina wrote this speech about herself, it would punch up in the best way possible. It would make you laugh out loud. It would include some sort of social satire, probably with a feminist bent that would make you say, yes, lady power! But nothing cringy. You would be belly laughing, and maybe not even realize you would learn something about society along the way. Come to think of it, I wish Tina could write everything I ever said. I'd be a hit at cocktail parties and a master of the bon mot. More French for you. Well, as I like to say at literary awards, I've used up my allotted word count. And so I say, congratulations, Tina. I love you. I'm so happy for you to be receiving this award, the Mike Nichols Award. Amazing. You know, if you wrote this speech, you would also know exactly how to end it. Well, too bad for you. I wrote this. And I'm going to go back to writing 101 to end this speech. You know, they say you can find the ending at the beginning. And so with that, I say, thank you, friends, loved ones, literary types, and pretentious assholes. Thank you. Thank you. And now, please welcome Tina Fey.
Rachel Dratch. Rachel Dratch, everyone. Rachel Susan Dratch. Oh my gosh, Rachel, hearing you say that, I realized that when you say you have a memory of an Indiana Dunes bathroom, I know what that is. It's that Rachel taught me how to use tampons when I was 31 years old in a bathroom at the Indiana Dunes. Thank you so much for this award. Before I say anything, let me say that whatever I do say was taken out of context. It's an honor to be here tonight among all these proper writers and to be acknowledged by this organization that does so much to protect free expression and journalistic freedom. Thank you, PEN America. Yeah, as a 52-year-old woman who's been living in New York and writing comedy for 30 years, there aren't too many rooms anymore where I feel like a charlatan and a failure. But we found one. It's tonight. Thank you with that. I am vibrating with the energy of a person who's afraid that the next thing she says will reveal her idiocy. Years ago, I went to the opening of Bruce Springsteen's one-man show, and they asked me on the red carpet what song I was most hoping to hear, and I panicked, and I said, Rosalita. That's how stupid I feel in this room. I feel like a person who just requested a solo acoustic version of Rosalita. I don't know anything, and I shouldn't be here. But it's a pleasure to be here accepting an award named after the great Mike Nichols. It's such an honor to be associated with his name in any way. You could have called this award the Bitch You Are No Mike Nichols Award, and I still would have gladly shown up and accepted it just to have my name in proximity with his career. I'm delighted to be getting an award that is about writing for performance. I have great respect and admiration for actors and performers. Not enough to pay attention when they're talking at the Oscars. I'm not crazy. I wouldn't marry one. But I admire what they do, and I like looking at them. And I do enjoy coming up with ways to try to help performers score. That's a comedy term. That's not a sex thing. Like Mr. Nichols, I got my start working in Chicago in improv comedy with a beautiful brunette who carried me. He had Elaine May. I rode the coattails of young Rachel Dratch. As you've seen, Rachel is a natural performer. Her voice, her physicality, her eyeball-to-face size ratio. It's like she was made in Santa's workshop to delight audiences. And I was in the Second City Main Stage Company with Rachel, like she said, and we did a lot of scenes together, none of which should be revisited. For so many reasons. But every night during the curtain call, I would go after Rachel and before Scott Adsit, and I would experience what scientists would call the applause dip. Rachel would come out, they'd be like, oh, we love her, she's so cute. And then I would come out and they'd be like, okay, you're a part of this as well. And then Adsit would come out and they'd be like, that guy's hilarious. And it started to dawn on me that I better be the ideas person in the company if I was going to keep this job. So that's what I did. I tried to read the paper, and I tried to bring in ideas for other people. And in Chicago, it was always a blended process. Writing and performance were blended because you didn't write things down. You just kind of kept re-improvising them and putting them on their feet over and over until you finally had something that worked, and then somebody transcribed it. And it takes a lot of the fussiness out of the writing process. You really can't argue that something is working when it's not. And you can't do the kind of little pissy little comedy writer thing of being like, I don't know, it just really makes us laugh. Like you cannot do that when there are like 300 meat-faced Chicagoans heckling you otherwise. Saturday Night Live is also, of course, a great training ground for writing for performance because it's your job to try to make the host look good every week. And if you haven't stayed up all night writing up one of Adrian Brody's ideas, are you even a writer? If you haven't spent a full afternoon thinking about what characters would be good for Topher Grace, have you even lived? I once pitched a singing cowboy sketch to Garth Brooks, and he stopped the writer's room and stopped the pitch and said to all of us that he really didn't want to play any cowboy parts, that he really wanted to stretch. So I then very passive-aggressively wrote a sketch for him where he played an old French prostitute. And can I tell you something? He was fantastic. And from that week on, I would sit every Monday and I would take the host and I would write down like what their type was, and then I would try to make a long list of going the opposite. So thank you, Garth Brooks, for that insight. Nobody indulges writers like Lorne Michaels. SNL is the only job in television where you are allowed to write whatever you want every week. Literally, no one ever tells you no, and you get your check no matter what. And I think we can see that after 47 seasons of this, we can admit that it's a mistake. Lorne, you have unleashed an army of monsters into the world. You know it, I know it, and the crew of the other two knows it. Oh, I was supposed to change that. That's inappropriate. Oh well, it's not live streaming. I have been lucky enough to write with and for some of the greatest and most gifted people in comedy, and I'm so grateful to all of them. Robert Carlock, Jack Burdett, Steve Higgins, Dennis McNicholas, Paula Pell, Amy Poehler, Titus Burgess, Jane Krakowski, Ellie Kemper, Carol Kane, Ted Danson, Holly Hunter, Condoleezza Rice one time. Whatever, she hit her marks, man. She didn't paraphrase. That's all that matters. Alec Baldwin, Tracy Morgan, Will Ferrell. I used to say to Will Ferrell sometimes if I had written a sketch or a SNL monologue that was a little bit wobbly, and I needed him to make it work with just pure charm, I would pull Will aside right before air and say, hey, can you do a turd polish on this? And he would always go, you got it. And he would make it work, and novelists can't do that. Essayists can't ask their readers to give it a hard sell when they read it. Poets cannot hope that in the middle of a bad poem, somebody's wig falls off. So I acknowledge my privilege, and I thank you for this award, and don't take the thing I just said about privilege out of context. Thank you.
Please welcome Pulitzer Prize winning